Okay, so this session is going to be to learn about Juno, which Yaku will teach us now, right? So instead of using chlorine, we're going to use Juno. As you can see, this two small bottles will replace 25-liter drum. And with the shortage of chlorine in the country right now, we're going to offer this to all our customers. So we won't discuss pricing here, but Yaku, you'll tell us how this works, right? We'll do another video with the drum just now.
100%.
So,
So basically we have got the Juno A and B components. What you do is putting these two together into solution, so your 25-liter drum, it will then start reacting with one another and you would form chlorine dioxide gas that is soluble within the water. So you would then create a 2500 ppm solution, and from that you can dose to your application. So with a normal chlorine application, you would dose between 2 to 5 ppm in your borehole water or potable water, where with chlorine dioxide you would dose 0.2 to 0.5 ppm. But that also depends on the demand in the water. So you would want a residual between 0.3 and 0.5. So your demand might be higher, so you would dose at 0.8 to overcome your demand in the water like any other chlorine substance. Also, the efficacy of chlorine dioxide versus chlorine is chlorine dissociates in water of a pH of 8, so you only have then a 40% disinfection capability with the chlorine in the water. And as the pH goes higher, the less disinfection capability you have with the chlorine. Chlorine dioxide is stable over a pH range of 3 to 10 pH, which gives you 100% efficacy on that range. So that is just chlorine dioxide in a very quick nutshell. And also these two powders should not be mixed dry. They are volatile when mixed as a dry powder. So it will get warm, it might catch fire, but otherwise if you put it into solution, it's 100% safe, nothing will happen.
okay, so this is just a quick informative video, right? So Eddie, let's ask some questions.
You mentioned to me about when I asked you about the food grade, being food grade, especially with the dangers of chlorine and with the use of the hydrochloric acid in normal sodium, like sodium hypochlorite. You mentioned something about a certificate?
So these has been certified by Intertech for food contact safe. So you can actually have it in contact with food, and it's also potable grade. So meaning you can put it into drinking water to consume. So chlorine dioxide is a lot better and safer than chlorine. So with normal chlorine you get up to 9 byproducts, which is called trihalomethanes, some of them, and that is actually carcinogenic. Where with chlorine dioxide your byproduct is only 2 components. So you have a sodium chlorate component and a sodium chloride, which is essentially both just a salt ion that you have in your body, you can pass it through with no adverse effects to you. So also you are dosing a lot less, so up to 10 times less than normal chlorine. So you won't smell it, you won't taste it. It actually improves the taste and smell in water, where we actually have 2 potable water treatment plants where they really had bad tasting and bad smelling water. Literally within 5 minutes or 10 minutes when we started dosing this, it removed foul tastes and smells and improved the color in the water as well.
Alright, another question. We use it in water specifically under 2 different applications. One is for the highest form of sterilization, and then the other way is basically with our media called DMI65 for iron, which is there to cause the oxidization process, to make it 100% effective to change the iron and manganese into a semi-solid particle. Now, would you say this product is better or on the same range as sodium hypochlorite?
It's far better, far better. So your ability to oxidize iron and manganese with chlorine dioxide is 6 to 8 times stronger than your normal chlorine. Also because your pH range is so wide with this, you don't have to do a pH correction to get the stuff out of solution. So if you want to remove manganese and iron, your pH above 9.5, to oxidize that out, you cannot use chlorine at a 9.5, where this will still be 100% effective at a pH of 9.5 to then precipitate it out.
So it'll actually make for instance, specifically in the iron removal process, they actually make that DMI more effective.
I've already spoken to them. So I've spoken to, I called Jeff while we were together. He says this is much better for DMI65.
Now the concentration levels. I know that in specific applications, you're going to have people that come in, they just buy chlorine from us. They use it for their own applications.
The next part he's going to do is he's going to give me the Excel formula and it shows us how to use it for internal use. So just so that we can calculate for the customers.
Shelf life, once it's been made in a drum, once it's been mixed and diluted, what's the shelf life?
So once you have made this product into a drum, for internal sake, we have formulated the product to give us around about 4,000 ppm concentration in a drum made up. We list on all of our information, we say that it's 2,500 ppm. But we have given it that buffer so that after 2.5 weeks, if you measure it, if you would go and do the titration to get the strength from it, you'd still be above 2,500 ppm. Priya, what was your findings? You guys did the titrations. After 2 weeks, you were still about 3,000 ppm?
Yeah, still about 3,000, and then 2 weeks after the initial 2 weeks, I didn't even break into 1,000.
And this was after an entire concentration of 25 liters.
Yes.
And I still have that polycan in my lab.
And
Oh,
still yellow.
It's still yellow.
All customers, is there a way customers can mix per dosage? Like we dilute the chlorine with the sodium hypochlorite when we do our dosing. Now, is there some sort of a measurement that you can say, okay, it's 2 teaspoons of this and 2 teaspoons of this, so they can keep it in powder form and just mix according with that 99 liters of raw water?
No, we'll discuss that in the next video after we do the calculation.
It's just a question of
So it's a good question though, how to use it. For now, we just want to show that this will replace chlorine, and we'll offer this to all the customers.
If closed in packaging like this and it's kept sealed,
3 years.
3 years, that's where my question I was going to ask.
But once it's mixed, he says, let's say 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Within a month it should be used.
Yeah. So the reason why your shelf life when it's in solution is so short, and that actually also applies for sodium hypochlorite, is it dissociates over time with heat and it oxidizes into the air and it evaporates. But chlorine dioxide is actually a gas. So it's 100% soluble gas, and it actually escapes through the polycan and into the air and vents out and stuff like that. So chlorine dioxide essentially is a gas. It's not a liquid. So if you actually make a very high concentration of this chlorine dioxide powder in a small bit of water, you'd actually see a yellow plume coming off of it. So it escaping with.
So if you kept it closed, it would last a little bit longer.
100%.
So if you store it correctly in a dark space and you keep it airtight,
Yeah. So in a dark space where there is no UV. So UV, it doesn't like UV, but that's any chlorine. So even sodium hypo does not like UV. It breaks it down very quickly. Breaks it down very quickly.
Any more questions, Eddie? For the customers,
Yeah.
the usage of it will be in the next video.
So you see that yellow there.
So yellow, Martin, look at that. So that's the color of it after from September, you said.
Yep.
To now.
So this is that orange gas that you'll see. So this gets put in solution,
Yeah.
and that's why it's going to give you a really rich yellow color.
So basically now, with the shortage of chlorine,
This is
we're now going to sell. We're now going to sell Juno. That's a lot more effective. How many more times stronger than chlorine?
So it's 6 times stronger oxidation potential, but in effectivity over the pH range, it's 10 times stronger than chlorine.
Because it can work at a higher pH also, right? And then, cost-wise, it's going to be very cheap. And instead of with the shortages, this is the way to go. All right, Martin, that's it.